Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we proudly present our spectacular show of podcast magic and imagination full of Disney wonder, news, and pop culture. It's the Main Street Electrical Podcast with Jenn Dave and David Dollar.
Hey, Jen.
Hey, Dave.
It's the Main Street Electrical Podcast.
Woo.
I am Dave, and this is Jen, and hello for the 112th episode of the Main Street Electrical Podcast. Last week's episode with Skywalking with Neverland was so much fun.
Oh my gosh, it was a blast.
Again, because I have to edit it, so I get to listen to all the bits and pieces. We have to edit in here and there. And frankly, folks, whenever you hear the episode, pretty much everything that we say is actually in the episode. Give or take, I might take out some flips and flops, and maybe one of us gets frustrated,
tongue-tied or something.
Tongue-tied. We're like, and so Jen may take 15 seconds to say the word All-Star Movies, and I'll
I don't know what that is.
3 seconds exactly. And so, but yeah, so it was a fun episode. It really was a lot of fun. So if you haven't heard that episode, go back and listen. But today, we're going to take a tour through Hollywood Studios. We did this in an episode not too long ago, and we talked about the front part of Hollywood Studios with Sunset Boulevard, Hour of Terror, and all the fun stuff. Where today, we're going to be looking at Toy Story Land. As if you're on YouTube, you can see my background here where it says, go. Right behind me. And so we'll talk all about Toy Story Land. But first, Jen, how did you Disney this week?
Well, I am Disneying this week by prepping for my Wish cruise. Like, I leave Friday, so 2 days from the day we are recording, to go down on the Wish. Well, first to Epcot and then on the Wish. So I'm so excited. So I've just been getting stuff together for that and prepping my lists. So that's really what I've done.
So you'll be gone next week, correct?
I will be gone next week through Wednesday. Yes, I will.
Quasi-producer Heather and I were talking about doing an episode together and getting you to call in from the Wish if your internet worked. Maybe we'll see. So yeah, we'll cross
fingers crossed.
Exactly. So I Disneyed, and I'm looking at Amazon right now because I discovered, Jen, that I believe they're going to come out with a Haunted Mansion mini Lego set, not the big one. The mini Lego set.
Like a little, like the little ones?
Well, not the itty bitty tiny one, but like I have a Lego castle that it was like $70 or whatever, and it was given to me as a gift, so I didn't just go out and spend $70 or $80 on a Lego set, which thankfully my wife did not. Thankfully, my wife knows that and is not all about like killing me for spending $80
That's
on Legos.
Good. That's good.
But the castle is not. It's about yay high. It's got a little Mickey figure and everything. It's really cool. It's like 400 pieces. Now the big castle is the one that's like 1,200 pieces. That's $350. I have nowhere to put that. Now, if somebody wants to grant that to me, I will find a place to put it. But otherwise, I have nowhere to put that. But the mini one's fine. So I'm hoping this Haunted Mansion Lego set, which I think is going to come in around the same cost, about $80.
Probably.
I'm hoping it's going to be about the same size, which will be really cool.
That would be cool.
So I've been surfing Legos, Disney Legos this week and wishing. And every time my kid, Campbell, loves Walmart and he loves Target. And he's a big Thomas fan. And I wish...
Okay.
I do wish Thomas was owned by Disney and they had a Thomas World at Disney. That would be amazing because
they do at Kennywood, which is where I was last week. They have
you mentioned
Thomas.
Kennywood, and he loves Thomas the Train so much. He loves trains. We talked about that before, and so when we go to Walmart and Target, we have to walk by the Thomas stuff because he wants to just to look at it. And then I walk through the Lego stuff because I just want to look at it, And they have the Winnie the Pooh set.
You and my nephew,
and they have the big castle, and they have just like I've seen the videos on Instagram where the guy has this Disney World theme set up where he's got the train station and the light, everything's lit up, and there's a castle at the end. He's got like a backdrop, a picture of fireworks behind it,
Oh,
and it's
yeah.
I mean, there are probably $4,000 worth of Legos in that one little setup, but I'm like, if I just had money to lose, sure, why not? But if I also had that kind of money, I would have a bigger house with an area that I could put Legos like that.
Well, there you go.
I don't. So
listen, my nephew's going to want to come live with you if you get one of those rooms because he asked me why I waste so much money on other things.
Yeah,
he's like, that's a waste of money if you buy shoes and clothes. I was like, what should I buy? He goes, Legos. I was like, oh, okay.
Legos. I agree. Well, behind me, and you can't see it because of my background, behind me, there's a whole shelf of nothing but Legos, little small sets. And I'm looking at, so what happened was basically Walmart decided and Lego decided they were going to sell sets for like $5 and $10. And that was the mistake. For me anyway, because I can buy, like I bought this little star speeder here It was a $4.97 set. So I have a Lego Star Speeder. And then, of course, I have the Razor's Crest, the Mandalorian, which is right here. And this is a $9.97 set. And these are fun things to do while either I'm on hold or while you're having an agency meeting and I'm not really paying attention and I'm doing Legos. And that's true, actually. I will do Legos.
Oh, I know, because you're like looking down. I'm like, what's he doing? Is he working? No.
The last two meetings we had, that's the only time I worked in my castle was the Lego meeting, or was the agency meetings. And you're welcome, Jen. You're welcome.
At least he pays attention. I mean, what?
Let's do some news. All right, so the big news that came out, and it actually happened earlier last week, and we didn't really talk much about it, and we're not going to talk much about it today, but I do want to mention that the Disney Wish, of course, has had its pre-inaugural sailing. It's some of its big sailing. And now, has it been the inaugural sailing? Has that happened, or are we still waiting for that? Okay.
Nope, we've had the christening cruise. I'm on a showcase sailing. The inaugural, I want to say, is the one right after mine. I think I'm the last sailing before the paying passengers.
Gotcha. What kind of cabin do you have?
I guarantee. Don't know. I won't know till I get there. So stay tuned.
Interesting. And for those of you wondering, should I do a Disney cruise? Should I do a Royal Caribbean cruise? And you're not really sure. Royal Caribbean actually is less expensive. Disney's gonna be more expensive. But I will tell you that I had some problems yesterday with a client with Royal Caribbean that I just don't think I would ever have with Disney. Like, I was calling Jen going, what do I do about this, Jen? And Jen's like, well, blah, blah, blah. Let's do this, whatever. Trying to get it fixed and get it solved. And I think we got it solved. But at the same time, I'm like, this is not a Disney cruise. Disney wouldn't do this. Now, I've never been on a Royal Caribbean cruise. I have heard they're fantastic. They're fun.
They are
festive.
Fun.
And if everything goes great, you have an incredible time. But you also have to look at things where, when you run into problems, how does the company handle it? And I just don't feel like they handle it very well. I don't. I'm just like, I'll go on an RCCL one of these days, but if I have my choice, I'm probably going to go into Disney Cruise because I just don't feel like I'd have this issue with Disney. But anyway.
Well, the Disney ships are just so gorgeous.
They're so gorgeous. And we're going to talk all about that next week, of course. I can't wait to talk about the Disney Wish and your experiences on the Disney Wish. Because Heather's going to be going on the Wish soon as well, right?
I want to say she's at the end of July.
Okay.
She's on the third sailing.
Gotcha.
So whatever the third sailing is, then she's
and
on.
We may actually, now that I'm thinking about it, we may do a Disney Wish episode in August when both of you guys are back.
Yeah, when we can
have
talk
you
about
call
it.
in from the ship next week. So take your microphone, load it into your luggage, spend the extra however much, $50 for the internet because, what else are you going to do? Nothing. So you might as well go ahead and do that work.
If only the internet were only $50.
Exactly. So the other big news that, of course, came out last week, Tiana's Bayou Adventure. That is going to be what's replacing Splash Mountain in late 2024. They released that that information last week.
They have not said when it's going down, though. They haven't said when they're going to start it.
So Tiana's Bayou Adventure is going to have Tiana, who was inspired herself by the late Leah Chase, and I'll get to her in a second, continuing her journey after opening her own restaurant to inspire others and lift the community. And that's really all we know. They have this great little video with some artwork, and there's Lewis, and there's Ray, and so it's going to be going on Splash Mountain, but of course it will not be Tiana's Bayou Adventure. But other than that, we don't really know anything. I've heard alternative titles for it, like Princess and the Log. I've heard various other names like Tiana Mountain and whatever, but they're calling it Bayou Adventure. Now, Leah Chase was a chef who was born in 1923, passed away a couple of years ago, and she was based in New Orleans, Louisiana. She was an author, TV personality. She was known as the Queen of Creole Cuisine.
Ooh.
She advocated African-American art and Creole cooking. She had a restaurant called Dookie Chase, and it was known in the 60s as a gathering place for people for the civil rights movement. And they based a lot of Tiana on Leah Chase. So if that name comes around when we're talking about Tiana and the Bayou Adventure. And I think you're going to hear that Leah Chase more often mentioned.
I'm sure you probably will.
Because we talk about the storyline behind Tiana. That's who Leah Chase is. And there's obviously her Wikipedia page is forever long. There's a lot more to it than that. But that's Leah Chase. And very cool. Jen, are we excited about this? Yes, no? Are we mixed feelings?
I'm always excited when there is something new to see, for sure. It's a little nostalgic because I grew up with Splash Mountain. So, it's like anytime there's something that you went to in childhood, that it gets changed, there's always a bit of nostalgia with that. But, I don't know, like if they totally change the ride track, I will be sad because I do enjoy the ride track because I love all the different dips and I love the the fountains in the laughing place that that shoot the water. So I hope they keep some elements, which Disney typically does, keeps you keep something as a nod to what used to be. So I hope the track remains the same is basically my point with that. So
that would be good.
Because I like the ride track a lot.
So they are looking now at the Brightline Station at Disney Springs.
Oh,
now, this is something that we have been hearing about for years and years and years. Basically, it's a high rail station that connected guests from the Orlando International Airport with Walt Disney World. Now, they're building a station like up the Florida coast. I want to say was it Miami to Orlando or something like that. So they'll be able to board a train and shoot up the coast on the train. Now, obviously, not just to service Walt Disney World, but for all of Florida's destinations.
Yes.
Florida being a tourist capital. However, it reported last week that Disney was going to scrap plans for the Brightline Station at Disney Springs. So theoretically, it would hit the MCO, Orlando International Airport. Then you could board a train from there. Or if you flew into MCO, board a train, and it would take you to Disney Springs. Now, none of us knew how this was going to work because
exactly like with luggage, what are you going to do?
Luggage, and are you going to have it all set up where at Disney Springs where all the buses have their own? But this is going to be a big imprint.
A lot of buses,
basically. This is not just like this is like the size of Magic Kingdom bus depot there with all the buses.
Correct.
And stuff. And there's not room for that. They'd have to destroy a garage or something. Don't know how it's
Absolutely.
going to work, but
which they're not going to do because they just built those garages.
Exactly. So the Brightline Station would have connected the airport to Walt Disney World, and then they would have been able to travel to other parts of Florida. Well, Disney scrapped it. They said, you know what? I think we're done. We're not going to do this anymore. And it was kind of coming out of nowhere because people are like, okay, this is something we were planning on. Well, then they turned around 5 days later, and it looks like what's happening is that Brightline wants to put a station at the Orange County Convention Center. And so that's kind of a main area because the convention center is massive. If you've never been there to the convention center, it's a huge building. I've been there to the Star Wars convention and Celebration, I think 7 or 8 a couple of years ago. And so they were going to put a station there, which again, I don't know how that's going to work with all the luggage and things like that. But that's not Disney's problem anymore.
No, exactly.
So Disney has apparently they're canceling their Disney Springs station was a knee-jerk reaction to them putting a station at the convention center because I don't think Disney wanted that. But it was to alleviate traffic and take guests for the airport to all popular destinations on I-4. Basically, that would help people catch rides to Universal and to SeaWorld and make it much easier to get to other properties versus Disney.
I'm not understanding the logic, but that's okay. I don't have to understand the logic. So
now it's turned around, and now it looks like they're supporting this. So now they're looking at doing the Disney Springs second station, but not on Disney property. So it's kind of a conglomeration. So if you've heard about the demise of the Brightline Station at Disney World, that demise has been greatly exaggerated, although we're not really sure exactly what's going to happen. It's all politics. It's all red tape, and it's all people sitting around a table going, well, I wanted to come here. Well, I wanted to come there, and whatever, blah, blah, blah. The bottom line is you still should be able to get to Orlando or to Disney World without a car using just the train. But beyond that, we don't really know much more. Recently ended was the Food and Wine Festival that ended. The Food and Wine Festival. Recently ended was the Epcot Flower and Garden Festival. Jen, did it feel like that festival went on for about 6 months?
It did. It did. And listen, I love Flower and Garden. We've discussed this.
Yeah.
But it used to be March through May,
right?
Like it was like a month and a half, maybe 2 months tops, and now this is like 4 months. And we're gonna have like 2 weeks before the beginning of Food.
Literally
Festival.
10 days. 10 days.
Like 10 days.
It ended on the 4th, and Food and Wine starts on the 14th. Which I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't like this. I don't like Food and Wine on the 14th. Do a summer festival. I mean, end Flower and Garden in May, and do like summer at Epcot, and have like ice creams and cold foods and things like that all during whatever. I don't. Like walking around
it's
Epcot
really
in July with
close
a bowl of pasta,
together. It's really close together. And like, to me, that's a fall festival. But maybe that's because that's how I grew up with it being a fall festival, but it's a fall festival.
Well, either way, I'm bringing it up because they have released the artists for the Eat to the Beat concert at Epcot.
Yes, okay.
Now those come out every year, and they come down to the American Pavilion and they perform. I'm not going to give you the dates. It starts in July 14th. The first night, actually, is the Baja Men. They're coming to town, so you finally will find out that age-old question, those dogs, who let them out? Other artists, Big Bad Voodoo Daddy's coming. Brand new is Tonic And if you can only see the way they love you, you'll understand. Jeremy Camp is also brand new. Taylor Dane, your chance to tell it to her heart. Tiffany, it could have been Debbie Gibson, but it's not. It's Tiffany. Joey Fatone and friends, so it's not Justin and all the guys. It's Joey Fatone and his friends, so hopefully they'll keep it in sync when they're singing. Devon Allman, they're hoping you'll just ramble on over to see them perform. Or you can just sail a week later to Christopher Cross. Journey with the Journey former lead vocalist Steve Ajari. So not Steve Perry, but Steve Ajari, because I believe that Steve Perry and Journey went their separate ways. Air Supply is also in mid-August. Blanco Brown, I don't know Blanco Brown. I have no idea. 98 Degrees, I do know that because Nick Lachey's in that.
Correct.
Southern Avenue, so when you're done with Electric, you can hit on down to this one. Idle Time with Chris Allen and Dave Cook. Hoobastank, like you need a reason to go see Hoobastank. Jimmy Allen in mid-September, which, by the way, I hate that song. The reason, it's one of my least favorite songs ever.
Really?
I don't know why. I just can't stand it. I'm going to hear that song, I'm like, ugh. Los Amigos Invisibles. It's the words say Los Amigos Invisibles. I'm assuming I don't really know. I'm half Mexican, but I can't speak a lick of Spanish unless it's on the Taco Bell menu or the words to the La Bamba. That's all I got. But mid-September, Los Amigos Invisibles, they're brand new. The American Authors, that should be fun there. BB Mac, you can come back to them. Postmodern Jukebox, I'm pretty jazzed.
Oh, I love
that. Should be great.
Jukebox.
So Agent Kyla and I were talking about this. Jen, do you know who's coming in for the 40th anniversary? October 1st, we're all going to be down there for Epcot. And I was talking to Agent Kyla about this, about how exciting it is. Maybe we'll see a great artist. We see somebody that we really love. She's all about Herman's Hermits, or maybe
she does love Herman's Hermits.
Loves the Hermits, whatever. And I'm like, well, all the other artists, all the ones we mentioned before, all the ones we'll mention in a few minutes.
Yeah.
I'm like, all the great artists we can have. We have an artist named Stokely.
Who?
I don't know. Now, I've never heard of Stokely. I'd like to think that I'm wise to the musical world. Like, I listen to a lot of regular radio with my kid in the car, and we listen to a lot of stuff. And
you
I
do.
like to think that that I know who some of these artists are, and I'm sure Stokely's fine. Stokely, if you're listening out there, I'm not disparaging you. You may sound great, and I may get there and be like, "Wow, I'm really glad they're here for the 40th." I've never heard of Stokely, and I feel like,
why wasn't it Tiffany? That's what
I don't know, or Debbie Gibson for that matter. I mean, or anybody like that. It could have been, and I don't know if maybe they figure it's the 40th, so nobody's going to want to be listening to music, so let's put Stokely there. But still, I just don't know.
Or Postmodern Jukebox.
That would be great. That'd be great. So, Sheila E.'s coming in October. If you want to strut on over to hear her. Mark Wills on October the 7th and 8th. 38 Special. Hold on loosely. They're coming to town. Robert Randolph Band. Don't really know them either, but they're also not playing the 40th, so not a big deal.
So whatever.
Newsboys want you to get your shine on. Coming late October. Who are you going to call? Ray Parker Jr. Although you figure like he'd be one to perform on, Halloween for Ghostbusters, but I don't know.
Not so much?
Billy Ocean, which I wouldn't mind hearing.
Oh,
actually.
okay. Yeah.
Hanson, which of course I can name 2 songs by Hanson.
Do not start it. Don't do it.
I can't remember if you love Hanson or not.
No. Hate. No. Don't start. No.
Remind me again why the Hanson hate.
Because I had to, it was at Walt Disney World, and my then roommate and I went down, and they were like, "Hey, will you help us with this like survey thing? You've got to come into this booth for a while." I'm like, "Yeah, sure, whatever."
Please tell me they really sounded like that. Can you help us with this
survey thing? Totally like that. No, I made that up, and we walked in.
This is Muffy, and that's Tuffy.
And we were like, it was some Pillsbury commercial. And Mbop was in the background, and I'm not joking. We had to watch the commercial something like 25 times and like answer different questions. And I promise you, I already hated the song. Like then I really hated the song. So no.
So that's not on Hanson. That's on the people that
no, that's also on Hanson because they wrote it. So it's also on Hanson.
Although there are 3 dudes who write their own music, they play their own instruments, and for somebody like Brady, I feel like that would be at least appreciated because there's a lot of people out there that perform other people's songs and don't play the instruments, and so
I do appreciate that they do their own music, but I don't appreciate hearing it.
I'm not sure Joey Fatone and his friends do their own music and play their own instruments. Maybe, I'm not really sure, but Hanson does. But anyway, Boyz II Men, early November. Kenny G, the songbird himself, and I know you love Kenny G.
I do.
Mid-November, and of course, ending up someday, Sugar Ray. November 13th and 14th. So that
Kyle and I, Agent Kyle and I. Sugar Ray.
I like Sugar Ray. Now, also, because you guys heard Sugar Ray at a
In
all-inclusive in Mexico. Also, along the way, too, in the in-between times, there's also some of Florida's top musical talent, some local talent that's playing as well. And I'm not going to go through all these because most people have never heard of these, but some really cool little groups going on. So they go out and they find random talent from around the area and say, hey, we want you to play Tuesdays and Thursday nights because Fridays and Saturdays are made for the concerts, the Eat to the Beat concert. So that's really, really cool.
That's awesome.
Eat to the Beat schedule. Final bit of news here. The Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique is coming back, folks. Finally, the Bippy Boppy, as I've heard it called, the Bibbidi Bobbidi, spelled with all B's or spelled with all D's, the Bobbidi Bobbidi, the Bibby Bobby, any number of illuminations of that. It's coming back, reopening on August 25th at the Magic Kingdom and the Disneyland locations. Is that right? Yeah, there's one in Disneyland, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
I think
yes.
so. Well, anyway,
Sure.
The park locations. The park
locations are back.
We'll get reservation for that in early August. They haven't said what time. They haven't really given a price yet for that, but early August. Also, there's going to be some new features. They'll have new character theming as well. And I believe they'll have some new stylings and they said it this way, it's for textured hair. So I would think for minority ethnic hair, things like that, maybe hair that's you really have a hard time working with, they're going to have new processes and procedures.
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
Things, which is really cool. I'm really excited
That's
about
fantastic.
this.
I
Very
like that
cool.
they
It's
did
very
that.
inclusive with the hair and stuff.
Very good.
The locations to the Grand Floridian at the Downtown Disney or Disney Springs locations are not open yet. No opening date on those yet, but those are still yet to come. So
Sure.
that is your bit of news. And before we start on the Toy Story, I do want to mention 4 names real quick as we're kind of going through. I haven't mentioned this in a while. I want to run through the show real quick and simply say, or 5 names actually. First of all, I want to give props and a big thank you still to recognize Jonathan Iverman, who does our booming opening voice. Ladies and gentlemen, he was the last ringmaster before the Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Circus shut down.
He's got such a phenomenal voice.
Great voice. Oh, such a good voice.
Such
and
a
I met him
fabulous
at a
voice.
conference, and he was very willing to do our opening theme. Of course, Brady wrote the opening music
did.
for our little podcast here. Timothy Dumais is actually a guy who does a lot of theme work and things like that, and he works at a church, I believe I think there's still in, I'm not going to say Colorado. I think they're maybe in Texas now. I haven't kept up with him, honestly, in the last year or so, but he did some great work. He actually worked on my previous podcast, the Magic $1 podcast, did the theming for that, and he does our little news jaunt, the little news thing you hear, and with David Alla, Jennifer Devatney. So that's him. That's him doing all that right there. Of course, that is Jen. You hear going, yeah, news, which is the clip I took from like episode 5 and stuck it there, and it just seems to work. And Katrina Stone, who has a new album coming out sometime this month, new EP. Well, I believe her and 2 other friends are getting together. And anytime Katrina makes music, I am in for it because I love Katrina's music. That is her voice you hear at the end, giving the all the details of where to find us and stuff. And finally, our logo by a friend of mine named Scott Kuzo. He's the guy who does our logo. He does logo work. He's done a lot of book art. He actually has his own line of coloring books that he has designed and created, kind of stress coloring or whatever, stressless coloring.
Ooh, I like that.
He's done.
I like the color.
What I like about Scott's coloring books is that they're very large in scope in terms of the spaces. Like, I don't like, what would stress me out
is like when they're really tiny.
When they're really tiny, and I'm like,
yes.
I'm supposed to color to take away
Like, how
stress,
am I
and
gonna
now
get
I'm
in here?
stressed because I can't
Because
get
I
the
can't
pink
keep it the lines.
his is like very large panels, and it's like, oh, I can do this, big,
Hey, I need
big
a link.
broad strokes and stuff. So I just wanted to give a quick shout out to them. We haven't recognized them in a while, so randomly to Scott, to Jonathan, to Katrina, and to Brady, and to Tim. Thank you for the work you've done on our podcast to help make this podcast sound as good as it does. And so let's talk a little bit about Toy Story Land. Now, 2015, during D23, they came out and they were like, we're going to do some great stuff, some different stuff, blah, blah, blah. And they came out and said they're going to create a brand new land for Toy Story.
Yes.
So Toy Story Land was coming. Now this is back over in that area where we had the Lights, Motors, Action. We had Streets of America. You could walk down and see the merchandise cart over here, and you had the big panels with the streets to take pictures in front of. And back in the day, a long time ago, the Power Rangers were there. You could do the Power
my
Rangers,
gosh, that's right.
The Great Movie Ride, not the Great Movie Ride, the
Not the
Backlot Tour.
Backlot
Tour was there, which you could go and Backlot Tour was a very strange attraction. Because there was like 5 components to it, including this opening scene where you got to participate in the making of it, like a Pearl Harbor type thing where they do. Now, did you ever get to do that? Were you ever one of the
Brady was in it. Actually,
Nice.
Brady so we went down in 2009
Mm-hmm.
with our friends Deb and Jared,
Okay.
and Deb and I like took the photos, and Brady and Jared were both part of that opening
Nice.
scene. Absolutely,
Nice.
they
Nice.
got soaked.
I have also done the opening scene before too.
That's cool.
Me and my three friends of mine did it. This was 2009, I believe. I got to be the guy that the water got dunked on.
Oh, that was Jared. Yeah.
That was awesome. And which, by the way, I didn't get wet at all because they put you in this really, really airtight, like waterproof suit. I mean, you're covered up, and even the face. I kind of pulled the little rope down so like the whole thing contracted, and so you couldn't like a little bit of my nose got wet, but beyond that, I was fine. And they got to participate in the whole thing, and it was just a really cheesy thing. Then you boarded the tram, and you got to Catastrophe Canyon, where it's like this fire thing was going on there, or whatever. And so there was like, oh my gosh, you're making of an action movie where the boulders are going to fall on you. And then it was this peaceful tour through random artifacts from Disney history. And look, there's Flight of the Navigator. And look, there's the Elvis Presley plane taking care of business. And look, and then back in the day, of course, you could go by and there would be the working shops. Like you saw the sewing area and you saw the costume department and there were animators there making movies. And it was just, it was cool.
It was cool.
I like the Backlot Tour.
I do miss the Backlot Tour.
I do miss the Backlot Tour, but that was all there, and now it's all gone because they built Toy Story Land and Galaxy's Edge. And so, were you when it opened up on June 30th, 2018? Were you there first weekend? I don't remember. I know there's been some of these that you've been there.
No, I was, and that was oh my gosh. So we stayed at Saratoga Springs, and we were like, okay, gonna be there first thing, and so we asked like a zillion times, okay, what time are we gonna run the buses? What time are we gonna run the buses? And they were telling me, nope, it'll be an hour before. Okay. So meanwhile, we got to the bus stop. We'd already missed the first bus. We were so mad because like I'm on Facebook. I'm like, people are there. What the heck? I was like freaking out. So we got there. Gosh, it was like before 7 a.m. I swear. Walked right in and got in line for Slinky. The line was, of course, it can extend out from Toy Story Land. And at that point, it came through. There was a break so people could get in line for the Great Movie Ride because that was still a thing.
Right.
And then it was snaked around like past the Great Movie Ride. So then anyway, you get to go and you crossed over and like through the courtyard and where the Joffrey's is. And they had this little cart. These people were wheeling carts and they were selling stuff from Woody's lunchbox. So like I bought a Pop-Tart standing in line.
Right.
And then like I'd run over and like get merch. And then I'd come back and then Brady would run out and go do something and then he'd come back in line. Because I mean we waited like 3 hours. We waited like 3 hours for Slinky. So
I love Slinky. Slinky is
I do too.
And I've mentioned this before. Slinky is my kid's favorite ride. He loves Slinky Dog Dash. So Toy Story Land is set up with a premise of Andy's backyard. Yeah. Andy has taken all of his toys and he's set up a quote unquote theme park in his backyard. Yep. With the Slinky Dog Mega Dash coaster, he's set up there. He's taken his lunchbox, which by the way, in the movie Toy Story, he gets a lunchbox for his birthday. He's taken that same lunchbox and turned it into like a little stand for food. Toy Story Mania, of course, all of his cars and stuff are kind of set up there, and it also is a Toy Story. It's a toy that he purchased and opened up and set up for all the Midway games and things. Alien Swirling Saucers is like a rocket ship kind of thing, where they set up there for that. And so it's an entire toy area. So you go into Toy Story Land and you become toys. Now, I don't know if there's a transformation that happens when you go into the archway where it says Toy Story Land, or go by the Toy Story Land ball, or just just assume that or whatever. I remember when you used to meet Tinkerbell in the Pixie Hollow, you'd stand in the hallway and like the lights would come down through the hallway and the little sprinkles and stuff come through the hallway. Oh, this is just turning into tiny little fairies. And Toy Story Land, you just walk right on through.
No, you walk right in and like you transition into the size of a toy. It's amazing.
It's really, really, really great. And so some of the things to notice about Toy Story Land, and there's a lot to notice, and it's one of those kind of places that if you don't pay attention, you can go ride the coaster, do some Toy Story Mania, do your Alien, and walk right on a Star Wars not paying attention. There is a ton to see and notice at Toy Story Land.
The detail is just astonishing. Seriously, it's amazing. I mean, there's no shade, but the rest of the detail is amazing.
No shade. No shade at all.
No shade.
They have the umbrella. Eventually, they put up the umbrellas for the line for Slinky Dog. But even then, back when you went, it was like wide open.
You were like boiling. And I brought an umbrella. And I do typically carry an umbrella. I used it like a sunbrella. I was like, yep, because I was dying in line for Alien Swirling Saucers.
Yeah, that was the one criticism that people had about that, was because there was no shade. And I kind of felt like maybe they could have put like quote unquote toy trees there, like bonsai trees or something, or sculpted them, whatever, to give you some shade.
Or large blades of grass.
Or, mom's little umbrellas from her drinks and stuff, her little fruity umbrellas or whatever, to stick them in there.
Anything.
That's a lot. So let's kind of walk through a little bit. You walk through the big Toy Story there. There's Woody. There's a big tall Woody doll there, greeting as you walk through.
Yes.
Kind of doing the hi, howdy ho there, neighbors, as you're walking through. A lot of times you'll find, you'll find Buzz and Woody right there. Sometimes Jesse standing right there as you're walking through to meet and greet, which I think they're returning with Woody meet and greets very soon, because they haven't had those in a while. But it's a great picture opportunity right there in front of Woody and the Toy Story thing to walk on through.
Yeah.
And immediately as you're walking through, you automatically see the tracks for Toy Story Land above you. They're like all over the place there. And at night, by the way, it's also gorgeous too, because you have the Christmas lights that Andy has decorated all over his backyard. And so the toys are holding them up and everything, and these massive Christmas lights are above you. To your left is Toy Story Mania. That's the first thing you come to. And Toy Story Mania used to have an interest on the other side. That's back when they were going to do Pixar Place. I haven't really officially read it, but I think at one time they were looking at doing a Pixar Place kind of scenario, because if you walk past the old entrance, there was a wall there, and like there was an open space there, and there was that building that had some meet and greets, and it was, I forget the name of the theater or something. They had a few things there, but it's mostly been empty for a long time. I'm wondering what Disney had planned for that. They planned for that whole area. I don't know
if they ever. I don't think they ever said, but
or maybe they just kept it open as an option. Also, Luxo. Do you remember Luxo the lamp when he was coming out?
Yes, I do.
I saw him one time because it was this great idea where Luxo would come bouncing out of a little hatchway above you. This is not even Toy Story Land. This is just Pixar Place.
Just Pixar, yeah.
And Luxo would move around and shine and everything. And apparently there were so many problems with that they had to pull it. Like the animatronics just wasn't working.
Yeah.
But of course, eventually they walled it off Pixar Place because they had Star Wars on the other side. So they never did anything with that. Now you can go back there. I think Edna Mode is back there.
Edna Mode, yes.
Incredibles back there.
Yes.
But Toy Story Mania.
They called it like what's the city? What's the city for
I can't. It's not Metropolis. It's
it's
I can't think of the name of it. I know what you're talking about, but I can't think of the name of it.
You know what I'm talking about, because I met
exactly
Edna Mode back there literally right before COVID. I was there for the opening of Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. I was like, oh, this area is open. They had just opened it. Like it had not been open very long. So
Toy Story Mania, you go through it, and we usually have back in the day we have lightning lanes, but now we have fast passes. Now we have lightning lanes, and we also take advantage of the DAS pass. Toy Story Mania is one of those attractions that if the line's really long and you want to ride it, go ahead and hop on the line, because this is a constantly loading attraction.
Yes, it is.
Constantly over and over and over. So that's a line that typically moves pretty fast. If you walk up, and I've done this before, while I've walked up towards Toy Story Land, before we even make the turn down that walkway, there's one line over here for Slinky and one line over here by Joffrey's for Toy Story
Mania.
We always hop on the Toy Story Mania line because it goes a lot faster.
It sure does. That one goes quick.
But the queue is amazing if you walk through the queue, because it's Andy taking all of his toys, taking his Candyland figures and some of his Legos and cards and old maid cards and chess pieces, and built this little walkway for all of his quote-unquote toys to walk through. And there's crayons, and there's like the Viewfinder Viewmaster discs.
Oh, yes. So those are like the little Peter Pan.
Those pictures are real. That's actually, like, you see the Peter Pan disc, that's actually what came on Peter Pan
that
disc.
I had that one as a kid.
I probably did too. I had so many Viewmasters.
I had a lot of Viewfinders.
Campbell went through a phase where he would use Viewmasters. He would walk around, just click, 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 click. And my friend Chris actually had a bunch of them from his childhood. And he brought them to me. He was like, I'm not doing anything with these. My kids are 10 and 12. They don't want these. I'm going to throw them away. You can have them. So Campbell got to look at vintage Peter Pan and Small World and Disneyland stuff and blah, blah, blah. I don't know where they are now. I have no idea where they are in our house now, but
cool.
He loved them. But Toy Story Mania is just wonderful. It's this attraction where you get in this little car, put on these 3D glasses, and it takes you around through these little arcade games, basically. The first one you come to, I believe, is the first one the volcano?
The first one's yes.
The first is
No,
one?
no. The first one is the balls breaking the plates, isn't it? No,
No,
it's not.
That's later on.
How terrible is it?
Okay,
is it the ring toss? Is it the alien
no,
ring
it's not
toss?
the ring toss. So in there is, and I don't remember which one's first, but I know there's a volcano. Okay, so
Maybe it is. But the balloon popping.
The balloon popping is what it is.
Yeah.
And so you hit the balloons with the darts and stuff, and you're using a little 3D gun. You have a little gun in front of you. You got to pull back on the trigger, whatever. Exactly. And so it shoots the darts. And little trick, by the way, hit those three because there's three balloons that are coming down from the volcano that say 500 each. Hit them all three. You'll hear a rumble. And then it'll calm down again. Hit three of them again, and you do that again, and suddenly this barrage of balloons comes shooting out the top. They're all worth $500. You can just 500 points and just nail them. So that's the first one. I believe the second one I think is going to be either the plates. I want to say it's the plates.
No, I think the plates is last. It's the alien ring toss.
How sad is this? The plates are not last.
Maybe they're next to last.
The last one is the suction cups.
The last one is the suction cups. Okay.
Woody and the suction cups.
So I think the alien's is second. Isn't the alien ring toss second?
You know what? How terrible are we in any of this?
I just know him because then you hear Sarge going, "Break those plates!" And
break those plates.
The order are the pie throw practice booth. Ham and eggs. It's the egg throw game.
That's it. The egg throw game.
The egg throw game. That's right. With the ducks. Rex and Trixie's dino darts.
That's the darts and the balloons.
That's the darts. And then hang on. And then the Green Men Army Shoot Camp. That's the baseball throw. Break those plates. And then it's the ring toss.
Yep, flying tossers.
And then it's the suction cup shooting game.
So, Toy Story Mania, you have 5 different arcade games to play. My favorite is the plates. I love the plates. Because you shoot little baseballs and you just break plates is all you do. And you hear a sergeant yelling, "I am not your mother, break those plates." And I love that. The ring toss is also fun, but the ring toss is tricky. Little trick for that, by the way. If you can get all of the aliens right there in that front rocket ship, get all of them. You have to work together on this. Get all of them with the ring tosses. So they're all down. The rocket will open up into this big thing where you just shoot rings in there, and it's like 500 or 1,000 each, just over and over.
It's amazing.
Big target, and then close it, open up again, or whatever. But don't neglect the 5,000s up in the corner. Love Toy Story Mania. It's
I love
such
Toy
a
Story
fun
Mania.
little place. As you're walking out, there's also a ton of theming as well. As Andy has taken little connects, the little Tinker toys and stuff, and made toys and different things with it. You'll see different planes and different little contraptions, stuff like that. So that's Toy Story Mania.
And the little golden books. They have like the little golden books, which I read when I was a kid.
There are 3 or 4 hidden Mickeys in there, and they're hard to spot.
They are.
You move so fast in there. As you're getting off, there actually is one in the golden books. I think in the spine of the golden books there's a hidden Mickey there. It's also fun to look around and see the price tags on some of the things, because one of them is like the Toy Story, like the Midway Mania playset. $19.95 in Canada, $50, which always cracks me up because it's just so random and funny. Come on to Toy Story Mania. If you take a left, you're actually going to go to Woody's Lunchbox, and that's what the lunchbox is. And so you can kind of get all kinds of little treats there and things like that. Again, that's the Woody's the lunchbox that Andy got for his birthday. He set up with a thermos as kind of the holding the little prop up. And who didn't do that when they were a kid? I had my lunchbox propped up with a thermos, so I had like a little tent there with my lunch, and had my lunch served or whatever. And so now I don't dislike Woody's Lunchbox. It's not one of my go-tos. The tachos are okay.
Tachos are pretty good.
I found the little tarts to be a little sweet, I believe.
Oh, I like those.
And I believe based on the theming, I think the Pop-Tarts are Sid's favorite food.
I think so.
And so that's why they kind of theme those after the Pop-Tarts to give a nod to Sid. And as we finish with Woody's Lunchbox, in case you're watching on YouTube, there might be a little blip or a change. My hair got a lot flatter all of a sudden because we are now recording like 7 hours later. I was at a water park today with my kid. You had meetings to go to and things to do because, you're leaving on a cruise ship in like 4 days, which is exciting. So, so we kind of made a little change, but, we're coming right back in here, and we're taking our virtual tour through Toy Story Land, right up through Woody's Lunchbox, and good place for a pause because, hey, the restrooms are right there. Great restrooms.
Oh my gosh, they're so cute.
They're cute. They got the Scrabble tile for the restrooms and everything on top with the numbers on it. And there is a family restroom, and this is vital. My kid on the spectrum does not like hand blowers. He does not like the ones that go. Never like those.
Okay.
So since he was a little kid, he avoids those at all costs. He's getting better. Getting better. But we are now pretty in tune with where the family restrooms are. And if he knows there's a family restroom around, he won't go into the men's bathroom. He will look at me and be like, family. That's where we're going. We're going family. I know you got to go, and he's like, he'll be holding himself like, yeah, I got to pee. Let's go to the bathroom. No thanks. Family restroom. So they have a family restroom there. It's really great. Those restrooms usually kept pretty clean, which is great. So the restrooms are there. If you went left and actually kept walking down the sidewalk, you'd keep walking on into the woods through Andy's backyard, and suddenly there's Galaxy's Edge, which there is a theory out there that Galaxy's Edge is Andy's Star Wars toys.
Yes.
That would be awesome.
That would be awesome.
But we're not going to go to Star Wars land. That's a different episode in the future. We're going to go across, of course, to Alien Swirling Saucers, where you load up on a little swirling saucer and you hop in. It's a kiddie ride, but it's a fun ride.
It's a fun ride. It's cute.
It's a
the world's hottest queue ever.
Yes. Well, on the outside there is some covered parts of it, but you got to get to that part.
There are.
It kind of does a switchback right there in the hot sun, which is not fun. But it is themed to, of course, the aliens. The aliens are there. They're in little rockets. You board a little rocket ship. It's sort of similar to Mater's Junkyard Jamboree. Not quite the same thing, but sort of. You're there. You're in the rocket. The rocket part kind of whips around a little bit. When I say whip, I know people are like, "Oh my gosh, back and forth." It's not bad at all. It goes
it's kind of gentle.
Circle. It's gentle, right? It's a lot of fun. If you hear the music above you, you'll hear Toy Story music. You've got a friend in me and whatever, but it's more of an electronical version of it.
Yes,
like a spacey electronic version, which is kind of fun. Great ride. It's one of those that if I miss it, okay, but I do it when I can. It's one of those like, there's a certain set of rides you look at, and if the time looks good, you'll do it. If the lines are too long and you're walking out of that part of the park, you may not come back to get to it, but it's still fun. So coming out of that, of course, there's you'll see the big Buzz Lightyear statue, which is there. It's really cool. A lot of times Buzz is out there doing meet and greets. The only real shopping you're going to get outside of a little store that's as you're walking into Toy Story Mania, there's like a little store to the left with like a couple of shelves of merchandise that it's just kind of an odd placement for a shop. The only other merchandise you really get is this little kiosk there that sells Toy Story toys. Everything from Green Army Men to little rocket ships to ears, pins, things like that. It's a little merchandise, little shop there. And of course you crest the hill over the bridge and there is Slinky Dog Dash. The one that you waited 2 hours for, 3 hours
like
for,
3. It was like 3, over 3.
But you were one of the first ones to ride it though, right? Like outside of like
outside of the people ahead of me, 3 hours ahead of me, but yes.
Yeah, that's awesome though. That is fantastic. Did you know what to expect? Well, I mean, you can see it, but I mean, like, did it meet your expectations?
It actually was better than I expected. Good. Like, I expected it to be more of a kiddie coaster, I guess. Like, and then when I was like, oh, this is great. And Brady looked at me, he's like, that was way better than I thought. I was like, I know. And then, so fun fact about my first day, because it was, the opening, we did all of Toy Story Land. We looked up and we're like, oh shoot, it looks like it's going to rain. Sure enough, we got to the bus stop. We got on the bus. Boom, like deluge. I'm talking like complete, like full, like not flooding, but you know what I mean? Like where like there are parts that will like back up and like get huge puddles. So we waited. Later that night, we met up with Diva's co-host Christine and her husband, and we had dinner together. And they were annual pass holders. At that point, you didn't need a park pass, right? You could just go, whatever.
Fun little story.
You've probably heard it before. It doesn't matter. I'm going to tell it again because it's funny. And we were like, oh, let's go back. Like Hollywood Studios is open for like another hour, whatever. So let's just go. And even if we just walk in and see it, well, there was, for whatever reason, there was not a lot of a wait, right? So we're like, okay, we're going to go get, like, this is great. Let's just go get on Slinky Dog Dash. Christine's on her Facebook Live. She's like, yeah, like we were walking through Toy Story Land. Like, she's going through. I'm like, yeah. And she's got her AirPods in. Cause she's like me, like we'll have one in and then we like switch and we'll do the other one. Okay. Like back and forth. Right. So she had them in, we get on the ride and I say, she's like, okay, everybody. And so now like I'm going to flip you around so you can see. And she's behind us. And I'm like, Christine, take out your AirPods. She's like, she's like motioning to me. I'm like, I know you're on Facebook Live. You need to take out your AirPods. And she's like, Jen, I am recording. I'm like, put it in your bra. Just put it in your bra. Because like there's no way she's getting her case out. Like we're strapped in. And finally, I'm like, Christine, you were going to lose that. Put it. And she's like, fine. And she's like, and I see her do.
That's awesome.
And as we take out, she's like, wait, is this a roller coaster? She filmed it. She was sharing stuff about it all week. We will never let her live it down ever. Ever.
It's embarrassing because it's right there in the open. Like you just look
Like
around.
we walked by it.
As you're walking through that walkway, the coaster is coming around you.
I know.
Mean, it's like it's pervasive, as you might see behind Jen's background. Like you would be walking into Toy Story Land under that sidewalk, under some of those tracks, which is crazy. That's hilarious. Well, Slinky Dog Dash is a great coaster, and it's so expertly themed. Because you walk into the queue, you're going to see Slinky Dog. It's resembled the train is designed to resemble a Slinky Dog. The attraction is actually based on Andy's imagination. Andy uses his Dodge and Dash mega coaster kit to build the ride, and as you're walking through the queue, you're going to see Andy's hand-drawn plans for the creation all over the place. It's drawn on crayon on notebook paper. You'll see some other toys drawn on there, or whatever, and there's a hidden Mickey as you're standing in front of the car about to get on there. Look up to the right, up to the top. You'll see a hidden Mickey drawn onto the quote-unquote notebook paper, which is so great. On the track itself, Jesse and Rexter, they're climbing on top of the blocks and the Jenga pieces, holding the lights. The track, it's gentle enough to not be a real severe coaster, but it's fast enough to excite you.
That it's a coaster.
So it's not as thrilling as Big Thunder. It's not like the crazy bumps and everything like that, but it's more than Barnstormer. It's probably more intense than Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, honestly.
No, it is definitely.
You've got that big tall hill at the top, and you look out, you can see over into Star Wars Land.
The launch, the pullback.
Launch, yep. At some point, it stops and it kind of pulls back, and you hear 3, 2, 1, go. You know. And so it shoots through, and my kid loves that. That's his favorite part.
So fun.
And at night, it's gorgeous because it all lights up. It's so green and the go, and you hear Slinky going, "Here we go, hang on," and he shoots on through. Which that's one of those things that my kid attaches to, and so he will, after we're off the ride, he will immediately run over to this little viewing area, like a sidewalk, where you can see the train, see the launch, and he'll sit there for 20 minutes and look at me because he wants me to look at him and go, "Hang on. Here we go." And then, he wants me to do that. That's what we do. That's our little thing together every time we go. So Slinky Dog Dash is just fantastic, and it's a gorgeous ride. It's such a well done attraction.
So well done.
It just looks cool. Now you might be wondering about Toy Story Land 2 in other parts of the world, and there's actually one at Walt Disney Studios Park in Paris. There's one at Hong Kong Disneyland, and there's one at Shanghai Disneyland, as well as Hollywood Studios, and those all actually opened before this one did, which opened in 2018. The oldest one is in Paris, opened at August 17th, 2010. Hong Kong opened in 2011, and Shanghai opened in 2018, I think around the time of the opening of that park. Now, some of the main differences are over there, they've got something called RC Racers, and that's at Walt Disney Studios Park and Hong Kong Disneyland. Basically, it's like it's a Hot Wheels track is what it is.
Oh,
you get into a car or like RC car, and the thing it's a half track, so it kind of goes up into a big U shape, and it goes up one side and backwards down the other, and it kind of goes back and forth over and over and over, building intensity until it finally slows down. It's a pretty cool little thing, and they've got a lot of the same things going on, a lot of the same decorations. Hong Kong also has something called the Toy Soldiers Parachute Drop, which is just like it sounds. You load up, and it's almost like the parachutes over in Disneyland, kind of the kid ones. You get in there, and it kind of lifts you up and drops you a little bit, lifts you up, drops you a little bit. Not intense at all, because this is Andy's toys. So that's what they look like in the other parts of the world. So overall, Toy Story Land is just a fantastic area. It's a fun place to be, a fun place to go. It's one of those first stops for us. They are all on Lightning Lane, so you can get Lightning Lanes for them early. Slinky Dog is one of those I recommend to people. If you're going to Hollywood Studios, really consider Slinky Dog Dash. That's one.
Absolutely.
The line does not diminish on this. There are certain ones, I think Millennium Falcon may be one, where the line kind of gets shorter at night. People stop going. Even Tower of Terror, close to closing, the line kind of diminishes a little bit here and there.
Slinky Dog does not.
Slinky Dog is like Peter Pan or Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. It does not go down at all.
Correct.
So just do it if you can. Love this whole entire land. It needs more shade.
Too.
It does need more shade.
It does need more shade.
Hoping they'll do some more of that. Of course, we have a barbecue place coming up sometime
We do.
soon.
We do. We don't. They haven't given us an opening date though.
No, they just said I think sometime next
year. I want to say next summer.
Yeah, it's like Woody's Rodeo Barbecue or something like that.
Yeah, backyard. No, I was gonna say backyard barbecue. That's not it.
Is it going to be a table service or counter service? It'll be table service, right?
I believe it's table service.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
very cool.
At least that was my understanding, unless they've changed something. But my understanding was that was to be a table service.
I don't think it's going to be a character meal.
I don't think so.
they would want the characters to be out in the land
In the
itself.
land,
and if you put
yeah.
them in that, you can't have them walking around as well, because people be like, I just saw Buzz when I was eating my pasta, and now there's Buzz out here, and that's confusing.
I don't think it's going to be a character meal. So I just think it's going to be just a sit down, like cute themed meal. So
Yep. Anything else about Toy Story Land that we need to know, Jen? Anything off the top of your head that you're like, oh, one of your favorite parts is, or don't forget
I love just all the detail. Like, don't forget to look down. Like, there are huge shoe prints that look like they're in the dirt. I mean, it's just everywhere you look, it's just so whimsical and fun. So, I mean, we've hit all the big points, but it's definitely worth, like, go explore it, especially if it's not super hot. It's like a nice midwinter day.
Right.
So yeah, definitely
so
fun.
There are a lot of details too, and a lot of hidden details, because Imagineers like to do hidden details. You'll see the big Luxo ball, the yellow ball with a red star and the blue stripes there. One of the two icons of the Pixar library. Of course, the lamp is being the other one. And of course, Pixar was founded on February 3rd, 1986. So if you go walking around, because these are toys, and so there's quote unquote packaging, large packaging where Andy's pulled his toys out. One of the barcodes is going to say 231986, which is February 3rd, 1986. There's another barcode in there that says 10/1/1971. And Jen, would you happen to know what that might stand for?
Well, that would be the original opening day of Walt Disney World Resort in Florida, Magic Kingdom specifically. If you want to be
so look at the barcodes, the signs they're holding up where it says, like attraction time, wait time, 80 minutes or whatever. As you walk by, look at the back of that. A lot of times there are fun little messages on the back of that because again, Andy's toys. Sometimes you'll see Andy's address written on there, almost like if you lose this toy, here's my address kind of thing. A lot of detail all the way through there. Just make sure you look around, have a good time, take some pictures. Absolutely. Stay shaded if you can. Eat some tachos. Have a Pop-Tart. Like I said, and have a good time. But speaking of characters, of course, today is the first day that Minnie is back with Mickey at Town Square Theater in
This is like breaking news and like a little bit of like an addendum to our news.
So Minnie is out. Minnie is back.
Minnie is
I
out.
want to mention that. But then you have some breaking news which happened like maybe 3 hours ago.
Right. So, as per usual, they like to announce things the day after we record. But this time, we finished, and then we're going to finish tonight. And they didn't know.
Got you, Chapek.
We have some more character dining returning, which means back to normal. Well, closer. I mean, it's really close now. Yep. We only have a handful of things, but these are things we've been waiting for. So Ohana at Polynesian Resort, no, not for dinner. It's never been character for dinner, breakfast? But for breakfast, Stitch and Mickey and who else usually showed up there?
I think Lilo.
Lilo, yes, Lilo and Stitch and Mickey.
Can I just stop you there for a second?
Yeah.
I was in the theme park. I was in a water park with my kid this afternoon, which is why again we had to break and come back later. I had got a note from a couple of people, Meredith and whoever, saying that the dining was coming back, and I saw the Crystal Palace. I did not know about Ohana until just now.
Oh, that's really?
Awesome. That's exciting.
And that's what I led with because
and it's the only place you can see Lilo in the park. She's never in the parks.
Correct.
So
she's never in the parks. So they have the pineapple coconut breakfast bread there. It's so good.
Delicious.
So good. So yes, that is coming back. And as you just mentioned, Crystal Palace buffet with character featuring Winnie the Pooh and friends, which I do love. I love that one. That's coming back. So that's September 20th for the Crystal Palace.
Yep.
And September 27th for Ohana with Lilo and Stitch.
That's awesome.
And Mickey. So that's just, and at Beach Club Resort, Cape May Cafe, which of course is a great buffet dinner. Okay. Like seafood buffet, but during breakfast, they have Cape May Cafe Minnie's Beach Bash breakfast.
And the Fab Five, they're in their beach gear.
It's
Mickey
not the Fab Five. No,
it's not Fab Five?
Not the Fab Five. Minnie. But now they may have put all the Fab Five in, but usually there's only been 3. Okay. Minnie, Donald, Goofy.
Okay.
Yeah. Minnie, Donald. Now, maybe Mickey was there sometimes, but they don't remember. It's been a long time. It's just some of the Disney characters. It's usually not all 5.
That's
usually
like
awesome. 3 or 4. So
that's really cool.
In their beach garb. So we're getting 3 character meals back.
Crystal Palace is one of the few places you can find Piglet as well. You can usually find Tigger, Eeyore, and Pooh in the parks. A lot of times meet and greets and things like that. It's very seldom you can find Piglet in the parks, unless it's a party where he's in his Halloween gear or his Christmas gear.
Correct.
And Stephanie, my wife, loves Piglet. It's one of her favorite
Piglet.
characters. She's a Piglet fan. One of the first gifts I ever bought her when we were sort of kind of going out, I gave her a little stuffed Piglet, and she still got it somewhere, and she loves, it's her little thing because she loves Piglet. So,
I do love, So exciting things.
Very cool. So, all right, so we're going to shut this thing down because we got to get out of here. Jen, you got to get some sleep and get ready for your trip in 2 weeks when people are trying to follow. And of course, it'll be harder to follow when you're on the Wish because the internet is pretty sketchy, pretty spotty. But let's just say that when they go ahead and follow you now, so they can be ready for the barrage of photos and videos that are both landscape and in portrait coming at us on all mediums, where can we find them?
Out Upon a Star Jen. And then the agencies, of course, Out Upon a Star Travel. And yes, I will will be in port for a while. So I'm going to send what I can out to some of our fabulous social media people to get stuff on, onto the TikToks and all of the Instagrams and Facebook and like drop them to all of the agents. So like if you're following any of their pages, I will post them on mine as well. But then, once I'm at sea, it's a little slower to load. I will do what I can. I mean, I will have the internet and I will post when and what I can, if assuming it all cooperates and loads up. But if not, then after the cruise.
Now, don't you have a couple of days of the Holiday Inn Express at Disney Springs after you get off the cruise, or is that before the cruise? Or
it's not a thing. That's not a thing. No,
okay.
No. I'm going down ahead. Like I am going down ahead, and I'm going to stay at the airport one night, and then I'm staying at Coronado Springs.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And then
okay.
So we are going moderate.
It's a moderate. That means that Alexis weren't available. I gotcha. It's been
that's I'm very grateful to go, and so that is a moderate, and so that's our pre-night hotel, and
nice.
Yes, but I actually do enjoy Coronado. Like that's my favorite moderate. So
gotcha. Very cool. Awesome. So find me, of course, at the Magic on a Dollar on Instagram. Find me on Twitter, Magic on a Dollar and Disney on a Dollar, and find us Upon a Star Travel on all the mediums and all the Facebooks. There's like 5 Upon a Star Travel pages on Facebook with weddings and with VIP vacations and with tips and tricks and whatever, a regular page. And of course, go to themscpodcast.com and you will see all of our show notes from all of our episodes. You can go back and kind of see things that you might have missed, find the guests you really like, and so, where they were, now what episodes they were on. We've talked about a lot of stuff. We have a lot of stuff to talk about, and many, many episodes come up. And so, Jen, have a wonderful trip.
Thank
you. Hopefully we will talk to you some next week. If not, it'll be me and quasi-producer Heather hosting the show next week as a fill-in. But hopefully we can get you to come in and blurb in for a few minutes as well. So that would be cool. Until then, guys, don't forget to thank your Phoenicians.
Thank you for listening to the Main Street Electrical Podcast. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at the MSE Podcast, or visit our website at themsepodcast.com. Be sure to subscribe, and may all your wishes come true.